Hello, my name is Hayley Weezy. I'm the course creator and head human design coach here at the I Am Academy. And today I'm going to take you through your personalized human design body graph. So this is a bit of a unique body graph in comparison to many of the other free ones on the web at the moment. So the first thing I love is that I can just literally search the words and I don't have to type in the whole amount. It comes up, which is great. The other thing is there is a 24-hour clock. So just make sure that if you are born in the afternoon to scroll through until the end. And if you don't know your exact time of birth, that's okay. Just take your best guess. Strathalbyn. Now, this is also a world search for place of birth. So if your town isn't coming up, just pick the closest big city because it's looking for your time zone. And then just pop your email address in and we can create your chart. Now, I think you are going to love this body graph. It is quite unique to the other free versions that you can get online. We've really made sure that we've brought out the information that I love to teach about, particularly in our I Am course. Now, we don't always cover the basics. Sometimes there's a few little nuances we love to cover as well, which you'll see down in here and explain in a minute, because they're significant and they make a big difference when we understand this about ourselves. But the first thing I want you to think about is, how do you feel looking at your chart? It probably looks a little bit different to mine, or maybe you're seeing some things that are quite similar. Either way, what yours is perfect and special according to you. But maybe you're like, well, what are all these colors and these lines? What does this all mean? And I'm going to break that down for you now. So the first thing that jumps out of me is all the color, right? So there's big red stripe down the side here with all of these numbers and the black down the side on the right-hand side. What does all this mean? So with human design, there's a number of modalities that come together to form this body graph. One of the major ones is chakras, gene keys, and astrology, right? And astrology in particular is where we get all these symbols from, which you might recognize some if you're familiar with astrology. So the reason why there's two is that human design doesn't just take a snapshot of when you were born, like in astrology. It actually looks 88 days before you were born as well. And so the 88 days before you were born is the red side. And I like to think of this as the unconscious side of our expression. And then the black side is the moment that you did take your first breath. And that is the conscious form of our expression. Now, if you don't know your exact time of birth, it's okay. The variation in our chart at a large level like this doesn't change too much throughout the day. And if it does, we have a way of working around that. So don't fret. Either way, I hope you're finding this fascinating and it will be relevant for you. Then when we look at all of this color in here, and so the first thing I'll say is the colors of these centers don't have a significance. It's just if it's activated or if it's not. So what I want you to make note of is where there's color and where it's white, because you have the whole chart and all that's showing is where it's lit up or where it's colored, be it black, white, brown, yellow, or green, doesn't really matter. That's where you're sending energy out into the world. That's where you're transmitting energy. It's where you're influencing others with the energy in the world. Where it is white, so be it in the centers or these lines here, these are called gates and channels, right? This is where you're here to receive energy. You're here to experience that expression. It's the sensitivities and so much area for growth and magnetism as well in these centers and these gates and these channels. So when I teach human design and how I teach human design through the I Am Academy is always, what is the highest expression of someone's chart? If human design ever feels like you're being put in a box, it's not designed for that, right? So it's really about, what makes you unique? How can we make the most of that? And there's some elements here that we've pulled out that I think you'll find really relevant. So your type, strategy, and authority, which are these first three that come up here, are probably the most significant. And if you actually just want to learn about these along with your 9 centers, scroll down and have a look at the free human design class for the curious. What is human design class? I think you'll really like it. But the type, strategy, and authority are basically how we are here to show up in the world, how we're here to interact with the world, and the internal guidance system that we get to use to ensure that we're in alignment and making the best decisions possible. Okay. When we're looking down at signature and not self-theme, these are basically emotions. Emotions if we're feeling this satisfaction for me in my signature, if I'm feeling satisfied as a generator, that means I am in alignment. And when I'm feeling frustrated in my not self theme, it means I'm out of alignment. And so you'll have specific ones to your type. They're connected to your type. And so depending on what it says there is what these will be, okay? And we teach all of this breakdown, but this is where it's coming from and what they are. Now, definition and profile are also really fascinating. Definition, I think, is really, really important. It's something else we also cover in our courses, but it also, you could be single definition, split, triple split, or if you're really rare and unique, you could be a quad split. This really determines how we're here to interact with other people and how quickly energy and information and communication can flow through our body. And so sometimes this is a really big indicator on, you know, how we communicate and process information and how we feel when we're around other people as well. It's really quite fascinating. Our profile is 2 numbers, right? So when I introduce myself with human design, I will use my profile. I'll say I'm a 1-3 sacral, which is my authority there, generator. That's what I use. I use my profile, my authority, and my type. So I'm a 1-3 sacral generator. You could be a 6-2 emotional projector. Okay, so it just depends. Everyone is going to be unique, but where this actually comes from is actually these up here. So these 2 numbers right up here. So you can see this is a 42.1 and a 61.3. It's the dot number up the top that actually forms your profile. And this is really important because I feel like when you find someone who actually has the same profile as you, so maybe you're a 1-3, or maybe you have a 3 or a 1 in your profile, we're actually going to get along really well, I think, because we see and experience the world the same way. It does that not mean that my husband, who is a 6-2 profile, we don't have compatibility? Absolutely. It's just really interesting to find the people that get along on the best tend to have very similar profiles in that sense. Now, the incarnation cross is like our life purpose. This is a significant energy within our chart, and it actually is taken up from these top 4 numbers. So we have our conscious sun, our conscious earth, our unconscious sun, and our unconscious earth. And this actually creates a cross section when we're looking at the mandala view of the human design body chart, which is not seen here, but you might have a right angle cross or a left angle cross, or you might be a juxtaposition, right? And so this is just where those numbers are coming from. You can see here 4232, which is referring to these 2, and the 6162, which is referring to these 2. And that's how our incarnation cross is made up. Now, these other ones down the bottom are a little bit more unique. These are things that I definitely also love to cover in the I Am course in particular, along with a lot of our other courses and our other educational material, because they're so relevant to how we live our life. So digestion is absolutely covered. That is, they're connected into these arrows up here, if you're wondering where they come from. So these are all to do with these numbers and these arrows. Sense, motivation, and perspective. Perspective is also known as view sometimes. I definitely love to cover these when I'm talking about business and purpose and branding and marketing and what we're here to do and how we're here to thrive and what we're here to offer the world and how we're here to help and support people. I love to dive into these. Design sense is also known as cognition. And this is like our super sense, right? So I know like my cognition or design sense is taste. And so if I'm salivating on something, that's a sign that my body is really, really excited. And so that's something for me to listen to. Now, yours could be sight, or it could be feeling, or it could be touch, right? And so depending on what it is another little thing that we can look to, that is an internal barometer on if we're around aligned opportunities for ourselves. And then I also love the environment. Environments are really, really key. I love covering this, particularly in my parenting module. I think it's really important that we understand the environments that we thrive in as well. And there's a few of those. So yeah, mine is market. But that is the basic overview of the human design body chart here. If you would love to learn more about this, please scroll down and have a look at our current offerings. And of course, sign our email list, join our email list, because then whenever we put out any kind of free content or any upcoming courses, you will be the first to know. All right, enjoy. And as always, if you think that there is someone out there who needs to learn more about human design, send them a link to this website so that they can download their body graph and they can start their human design journey today. Mwah! Have fun. Bye.